Hi everyone. Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Today we are meeting to work with the knees and information that is in the knees. And of course, this information of today, maybe it hits us in the stomach because it is related with the guilt. Even if we are able to feel the guilt in any part of our body, mostly the center where the guilt is concentrated and anchored is in the knees, and I will explain why. The relationship between the knees and the guilty is because the knees represent the path, represents everything that we have done. And of course, when we talk about feeling guilty, is because we have done something wrong, for example. So in our history, in our path, all the mistakes are encoded in the knees. And this is related not only by feeling guilty, but also by pointing someone to be guilty. And as I wrote today in the blog, the guilty is related to the unconsciousness, to be unconscious, or to ignore some facts, some information. This must help us to understand why maybe we feel ourselves guilty. The reason why we relate the guilt with the past is because when we think about the bad things that we did, we usually take a look backwards in our history and we see the things that we have done, and somehow we say, I would from now I wouldn't do it that way. I would have done it in a different way because now I have tools to do it differently. One of the things to understand when we see backwards is precisely that our position from the present makes us look that in the past we didn't have the tools to solve the problem or to answer in a proper way. So what we are doing is realizing that in that moment I had no idea how to do the stuff, so I was ignorant. And it's not bad to be ignorant, because we all are ignorant in some way. Because to ignore something, it means that you don't know something. We are all learning. This is why what we have to do here is to learn. So the key of why we don't know the way in which we can do our stuff in our path is because we are learning. The process is to make mistakes, and while we do mistakes, we learn. So it's the common process to ignore some stuff. When we try to look the process of feeling guilty, or believing that someone is guilty, it could be transformed just by understanding that that person is not aware, that I myself am not aware yet. So what I have to do is to recognize that I am in the path to become aware, conscious about stuff, and also the other person that I believe is guilty is a person that had no idea about how to be aware or become conscious about the fact. This changed the concept of guilty as we may believe it. When we, for example, we can ask, but this kind of guilty is also for those persons that we believe they are doing this on purpose, like some bad people that does horrible things on purpose. Yes, even them, because what we have to acknowledge is that nobody does nothing bad being conscious about it. Everyone does bad stuff being unconscious and reacting by the environment and themselves. It's not about being aware or conscious that you are doing a bad thing. If you are doing a bad thing, it's because you are not conscious. And the reason why this is absurd for the spiritual mind is because from the spiritual levels, the only thing that exists is the learning, the process of learning. From that point of view of the spirit, someone that makes a mistake we call guilty is not someone that must be judged. It's someone that hadn't learned yet properly. So we need to teach them properly, to educate that person. It's not about to forgive all these people that are doing bad things and we believe they are guilty for that. It's to be compassionate with those people. One of the ways in which we can understand why for the spiritual world the guilt doesn't exist is if you take yourself watching the humans, like if we have two humans and this human is really bad person, and we in the same stage we say this is a really bad person, so we start to fight. But what we have to picture is ourselves being kids in the kindergarten, and when you're in the kindergarten, for sure you had an enemy, that tiny little boy that for sure was grabbing your hair or throwing sand into your face, your eyes, whatever. It was your enemy. But from the point of view of your teachers and parents, which is another level of consciousness, it was just a child that had no idea how to make a relationship. That kid needs to learn how to handle that information, how to handle their relationships with others. So now come back again to the picture that you are two humans fighting and you feel that this one is your enemy and it's like really bad person. But from the point of view of the masters in another level, it's just two kids fighting because none of them know really how to act properly because they are in the process of learning. So this is why when we think about the spiritual level, they don't see guilt people, they don't see enemies and bad people. They see all kids trying to learn. So some people were asking about, and even Hitler, we used to see the result of Hitler, but we have to go back to the past and see that he was a kid that was trying to be an artist. He was painting, he was trying to act in theater, but nobody trusted him and everyone was trying to make him like the worst, like you're not good for this, you're not good for that, you cannot do this, you have to do other things. So he was, how do you say this word? A frustrated artist. So suddenly, poof, he became a distortion of himself. So I remember something that I said to you in a few weeks ago, that every time that you see a bad person in history or right now, you just have to picture that they were kids really hurt. Always, kids really hurt. One of the things that we have to understand about compassion, which I said that before, is that compassion means to understand this process. All these kids that had been hurt inside. So when you picture these bad people, you just see the kid hurting inside. So Compassion is to understand that that person was just trying to do what that person could understand about reality. When you do that, you start to set free the character and you start to heal. Otherwise, you point your finger like saying, no, this person is guilty. And you just keep rolling and rolling the same karma once and again. One of the main things that we have to do when we become aware is stop thinking about the bad people in the past and to blame them, and start to go and look into the new kids and think we have to do the best of ourselves so we don't project this guilty to them, so they can be free and they can and we cannot repeat the same story. One of the ways in which we can heal this process through the future is stop teaching the kids that there are good people and bad people, and that the bad people must be judged and the good people must be prized. One of the things that that we have to see in education for the future and how to heal this process is not to shutting up about anything from the past. It's not to hide the history from all the things that were wrong, because we want to picture a good future for the kids, so we only have to picture the beautiful things from the future. No. What we have to do is to show them everything that happened, from very little. Everything that happened, all the bad people that were in the past, everything that happened, and how a lot of suffering has been in the planet, and speak. Don't shut up anything. All the problems, everything, you have to share with the kids. And so, through that, you can teach them. Those people that did a really bad history were also kids like you one day, and they were so hurt because they had no friends, their parents didn't love them, so they end up doing these things because they don't have the correct friends that taught them how to be loved and so on. So this is how you start to change the perception, not hiding history, and give to the kids a new perspective of how to heal the guilty, of how to heal the history through the future. Is a way in which we can try to stop this, because otherwise, if we just picture a beautiful future for the kids and we don't tell them the truth and how they can solve their own problems since they are friends when they are childs, as I said in Spanish, I'm sorry for the word, but we are going to screw it up again. So like in Ho'oponopono, like, sorry, I love you, and so on. And there are some ways in which you can start to process this. I know this is very difficult because enlightenment, consciousness, it doesn't come with fear, it doesn't come with this, how do you say rencor in English? I don't know the word. Resentment. Okay, resentment. You will not get aware and enlightened by just thinking that they are bad people. The reason why it's so difficult is because when you have lived very hard stuff like being raped, abused, killings, the other person, the one we believe is guilty, they don't have the guilt, they don't have the pain, they don't have the rancor, grudge, you say. They don't have that emotion. We do. You do. So if you are trying to enlighten yourself and to go into another level of consciousness, you have to transform that feeling and that emotion. And this is why it's a hard step, but it's just for you. It's just, how do I say? It's just for your own releasement. It's just for your own freedom. I know it's one of the worst things to do, but in order to set us free is the clue. I just want to remember you the sentence that Jesus said on the cross. Forgive them because they don't know what they are doing. So that's kind of the message. So I was reading a comment that said that to forgive maybe is easy, but to forget is not. Forget in Spanish language, forget means comes from the ancient language that means to slippery, when something is slippery, which means to fall down again. Okay, so for English it would be forget is like holding again. As you forgive is giving that away, forget is to hold it. Okay, so what we have to do is to not to forget. We don't have to forget. What we have to do is to face the problem, to acknowledge the problem, and to go over the problem, to see the things from a different perspective, but not to forget. Because if you forget, you will go down again to the same thing. Okay? So what we have to do is to remember, but without any I don't know the word, sorry, rancor, you can say that too. One of the things that I wanted to answer for the last things is, how do I transform the pain into compassion? To that question, which was how do I turn pain into compassion, I must say that pain is a joint of all the energies and emotions that has been stuck in a part of my body. And by being stuck in my body, they are not moving. So there's no transformation. So what I have to do is a long process to understand, to face the conflict, to face the problem, the emotions, and to put myself in another position, to watch it from another perspective, and to make a new meaning, give a new meaning to what happened, to give a purpose to what happened. Okay, this happened, I cannot change it. So what I have to do is to give a purpose to that. So in order to give a purpose to this, what I have to do is to what I will do is to start moving that energy. But it's a long process. It's not just for 2 days, because compassion is not something that you practice. Compassion is something that you just feel, that just happens through the process of understanding, of becoming aware of why the things happen. And for sure, there is many things in the past that is very difficult to forgive, because we were the victims. From the point of view of victims, we see that. It's very difficult to forgive the other one and to release them from the guilt if I am in the position of the victim. In order to go out from my role of the victim, I must recognize my inner strength. And it's like this how I can go into another level of consciousness. These are the most heavy and difficult process because it breaks with every ethics and moral. I know that there are a lot of people saying examples like, and this person, yes, even them, everyone. I told that before. Because everyone were distortion persons that when they were kid, they had a really bad life. One of the main things that we have to do in order to create a new civilization is to release ourselves from the idea that there is bad people and good people. So there are people distorted and people that is kind of aligned. So in order to work for the consciousness, we need to take another point of view. And this is the most difficult. So all of us go through these kind of situations. Myself, I cannot accept some stuff and I am working with them. But I always try to remember that these persons had been through a very hard childhood. We could be speaking about this for hours, of course, but we are going to the alignment. The vibration we are going to work with today is Su. The statement we are going to use today is, I am the path of my ancestors. So the code information for today is the note Re sharp or Mi flat, I guess. No, bemol. I don't know the name. It is the chromatic vibrational bridge between the notes Re and Mi. In the alphabetic notations, it's named D sharp or E flat, bemol, I don't know the name. The bridge between the earth vibration and the tree's potential is in its roots, in the strength, and in the nutrients absorption. For this reason, this note resonates in the root chakra. Okay, so let's go to Su. As always, we start to massage our body and to sit properly as we prefer. We stretch the body, we yawn. Remember that as I touch the body, I thanks to it for being the anchor of the spirit in the matter. And I focus in my breathing. I relax the body. With each deep breathing, I relax the body even more. As I breathe deep, I bring all this information and oxygen to my lungs, heart, blood, organs, and muscles. I take a moment to feel all the heat inside my body. I feel it going outside through my skin, filling up the aura and all my magnetical field. I picture outside of me the emotional level of the soul irradiating over me, the fresh light like the moon, and in the other side, the warm light of the spiritual mind, like if it is the sun shining on my skin. I recognize my body as a temple, the temple where my spirit and my soul inhabit. I use my hands to touch and caress my legs, the upper part, the lower part, and mostly the knees, from the part behind and the one in front. Try to feel and recognize each corner of it. I recognize that inside of them I can find all the pain, not only from my history, but also the one from my ancestors. Everything that is heavy for me, that is not allowing me to move forward, that keeps me thinking on the past, is stuck here in my knees. I picture in front of me all these situations that push me back to the past, all these situations that are not allowing me to move forward. I picture them I picture every situation where I feel guilty and push me back, and every situation in which I feel the others are guilty, those that are not allowing me to move forward. I take a moment to think about these facts, these people. Take a deep breath, and without judgment, without fear, I just observe. Relax your arms and hands. Picture your temple. I picture my own temple, my whole body. And I realize that the two legs represents the two paths that brings to my temple. Everything that I feel within has arrived to me through these two paths. I recognize that each guilty person, each sinner, everyone that has made a mistake, that were unconscious, has reached my temple, coming in through my door, through the hall, to ask for forgiveness, coming through these two paths. Everything that has reached my temple has come through the legs, through my history, to ask for forgiveness, for freedom. It's only myself, the one able to bring clarity, forgiveness, and release. This heavy from these two paths. Take a deep breath and start to allow the light of your awareness, your consciousness, to come inside your temple, through the crown in the cupola, through the roses, the windows of your eyes, touching the candles, the bell, the sacristy in your heart, the altar, the hall, and the door in the genitals. Take a deep breath. I allow myself to open the doors and take a deep breath, bringing the light of the I Am towards these two paths. I recognize that it's only myself, the one able to release the feeling of guilt of myself and the perception of guilty among others, realizing that everyone are just learning in the process of life. Take a deep breath and start to pronounce the sound to enlighten every lamp, the lights of the street in each path. Take a deep breath and say to yourself, I can release myself from guilt. I can release others from guilt. I can be compassionate. I recognize that it's a long path to reach compassion, but it's in my will, in my intention, to take the first step ahead, or don't. Take a deep breath and bring your hands with the tip of your fingers to each one of the knees. Take a deep breath and bring the consciousness, the light, becoming aware that everything that you have lived was in relation of the perspective and the tools that you had in that moment. I recognize that I cannot judge myself for not having the tools in the right moment. I recognize that I cannot judge others for being unconscious, for not knowing what they do. Take a deep breath. recognize the power within me, and I start to make shine the knees brighter and brighter as I recognize that I bring clarity to my history, to my personal path, and to the history of all the people that lives within me. And I recognize that myself, right here and now, on the path to heal my whole history and to heal and release this history for the future. Take a deep breath and bring the light, recognizing I am the path of the ancestors. 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 Take a deep breath and take your hands to your chest. All the ancestors integrate within me. Everything that they have lived in their history and I have lived in my history lives within me. And it's only me, the one able to release everyone, myself and the future, from this heavy, from this burden. So I say, I can set myself free from guilt. I can be compassive, for I am the path of my ancestors. Take a deep breath and bring all this awareness from your heart to each part of your body, caressing, massaging, stretching, and yawning. And I come back here and now, opening my eyes. And this is how we set the energy of the I am in our history. Heavy chakras. With this, we begin to anchor the idea of what it is to release ourselves from guilt. Bien? Okay. So the task that I will give you for today and for any day is to think that your left knee is your mom and your right knee is your dad, and take a long walk someday and try to remember while walking a situation of guilt, even if it is from your side or from their side. Just picture one, not many, just one of each one of them, and just think about it while walking, and try to feel how the knees are moving. Which one do you feel pain? And just be aware of that. That's it. And just try to think that while walking, you are just moving and releasing the tension of what you are thinking. Just try to do that. So remember that if you feel dizzy, if you feel bad or anything, just try to walk barefoot for a bit in the grass as possible, or lay down a bit and drink a lot of water, and mostly rest. So thank you for being there, and see you tomorrow for the feet. Good night. Rest.